Good evening, everyone. This is Tom Nowetner, the conversationalist. Like, subscribe, comment, share to somebody that you really like or somebody you don't like, and hit that little bell. Man, I'm gaining things to say every time I get on. Isn't that funny? But I understand the bell now because I've been using it for the last 2 days and it works. I didn't even know about it, so now I do. So I'm a master of the bell. Little progresses, right? So today in upstate New York it was about 60 degrees, but it was chilly. The wind was cold. And I equated that to it being the day before election. The cold winds are blowing because now you have to stand up and vote, vote, vote. Get the dog in the fight. I don't care who it is. You vote for whomever you think is the best candidate for you. We're voting on village supervisors. We're voting on county offices. We're voting on state offices in New York State. We're voting on federal offices. We're voting. It's probably going to take me 10, 20 minutes in the polling booth just to click everything off. Plus, we have a proposition up here in New York. Uh, our great governor, Kathy Hochul, wants to. It's not good enough that says everybody has equal rights. She wants to spell out each and every one of them. You know, when you subtitle it by gender, she wants to spell it out. When you subtitle it by, underage women, women of whatever, and men with disabilities, and frogs that leap in the middle of the night. I don't know what this woman's doing. I this whole thing seems like, you have the Constitution, right? You have some way to get redress if you get into a situation. You just go ahead and sue them, right? So why do we need to spell this out in New York State? Why in New York State do we have to get so detailed and so much into the minutia that it just spawns a whole bunch of lawsuits, which we can't have because all of these people filing these lawsuits just clog up the court system. It's what's happening at the Supreme Court now. They pick cases. If you watch the roster in September, and then they announce in October what their cases are going to hear, I don't know where they come up with them. I mean, I'm looking at the roster where it has really important things on it, and they come up with the stupidest cases that they're going to hear. It makes it may make sense to the people in Ohio, but it doesn't do anything for the rest of the nation. You know, you want to deal with Ohio problems, go to Ohio Supreme Court, not the federal Supreme Court. Come on, guys. Trump, a lot of missteps this week, or last week and this weekend. Verbal missteps, kind of aggressive missteps. It was interesting. I think he's walking on eggshells because Kamala Harris has changed her tack. Right now, she's presenting as this motherly figure who's going to take the country under her wing and make it a better place. And this is where the major change come in. She usually talks to Democrats and the liberal side of, and she's talking to everyone now. My Republican friends, my conservative friends, my friends that are going to vote for me. They're Republicans, but they're going to vote for me. You know why they're going to vote for me? Because they don't trust Donald Trump. And I'm trustworthy. Is it going to, at the last minute, change some votes? I don't know, but, you know, it's a far departure from her cackling and stupid comments. I mean, unfortunately, today when she was asked a question, she went into a speech she did last night. Never answered the question, just reiterated some of the lines in the speech. So that hasn't changed. What are you going to do? Where are you in this? I'm walking in a polling booth tomorrow, I still don't know who I'm going to vote for. I'm walking in going, do I vote for the idiot or the maniac? Isn't that scary? It's usually least worse, but now I'm trying to figure out who's the most volatile. Who's the one that's going to blow up everything? You know, isn't that an absolute shame that you have to do that for the election of the United States of America's president? We're making decisions on least worse or who we trust not to blow the thing up. Scary. We have a number of problems right now. 87 million people have voted by advanced ballot. That means 87%, 87 million people, voter age, on the rolls, have voted. How many people actually, totally voted? I think it's like 150 million, right? And the people that are eligible are around 180 million.
Give
So
or take 10 million. You're in the ballpark, yeah.
right. So the funny part of this is if 87 million people have already registered their vote over the last 45 days, where are all these votes? And why did the federal government election services publish not only how many votes were candidated by each state, by each county in each state, which I think is tilting the scales in the election, because if you know it's a conservative state, you know where it's going. If it's a liberal state, you know where it's going. There's like 5 states that can't be called, right? I can't believe that Kamala Harris and Trump have been in Scranton, Pennsylvania, which is 45 minutes from me, at least one of them every 3 days. Isn't that amazing? Why would they be going to Scranton, Pennsylvania? Because it's Joe Biden's birthplace? He only lived there till he was like 4, but he makes a big deal, you know? His ancestors were coal miners. They were not coal miners, they were storekeepers. Who the hell is he kidding? Joe, this stuff's on the internet. We can figure it out. You're lying to us again. I would like to get a discussion going on about the importance of controlling these ballots, but nobody seems to want to do that. The mainstream media, the broadcast media, is touting it as a good thing. There's 4 counties in California, although they have a record of receiving these early ballots and a record of the count on them, but they can't find the ballots. Something like 19 boxes, and each box carries, I don't know, 100,000 votes. They can't find. And the election commissioner, God bless him, he says, don't worry, we have all the data and we will find them. Somebody moved them out of the goodness of their heart. It's not something evil or trying to rig the election. It's just somebody moved them. And I'm looking at this guy and I'm saying to myself, where did you grow up? What is your life experience? You seriously telling the American public that we don't have anything to worry about when you can't find like 19 boxes of ballots? Scary. Scary. Then we have Oprah and her crew finally raised their ugly heads. I've been wondering where they are. Beyonce and all the black actresses and, Cindy Crawford and what's the other one? Julia Roberts. They're all, you vote for Harris or I'm going to move out, or I'm going to wherever it is. And I'm thinking to myself, who would want you? Then, right behind him, within 24 hours of the news cycle, here comes all these right-wing actors like, Mel Gibson and that crew. And they're just berating everybody. And they're talking about paying for airline tickets and containers pack their shit up. So it's like that far out of the line, you know. We are literally into the minutia, the absolute worst part of human nature. We're not dealing with the election or the problem. We're dealing with individuals and what they say and taking our eye off the ball. You ever notice that? And I don't want to say that the liberals do it or the Republicans, they both do it. You understand this? Every time there's a problem, the mainstream media cues in on another problem. So they take your immediate attention off that problem that you should be really dealing with, like missing ballots, people who can't vote, ballot boxes burning, drop boxes. Those are important things. Did you see any of that on the mainstream news? Yeah, you saw about 20 seconds last Thursday. That's it. It hasn't been on the news since. My idea about the voting online, I guess, was shot full of holes, according to the comments. It's so easily rigged and modified and messed with and all that stuff. It got quite an education on how you can manipulate the internet and all that stuff. So if that's not the way to do it, somebody's got to come up with an idea how we control so that you know that your ballot counts. And when I say ballot, it's not because it's just presidential, it's everything. It's from your village and town all the way through your state and federal government, your county government. It's voting now is an issue across the board because government has grown so big. Even our village board, I think they went from 5 guys, now they're like 11 people. Why do we need this? We're a little tiny little stinking village in the middle of nowhere, New York State. Why do we need 11 people telling us what we can and can't do? I don't get the progression of it, how local, state, and federal government are breaking up their duties and their responsibilities. And I don't understand the redundancy of it. Maybe somebody smarter than I can point that out, but Tom Sowell did a 45-minute presentation this morning, and he touched on these topics. He said, understand that for many years, up until the 80s, we didn't vote like this. We didn't vote because somebody lied about somebody else or somebody had $500,000 put in their fund and they're making these attack commercials against their opponent. But they're appearing in them, but they don't pay for them. So therefore it doesn't count against them. All right, I'm starting to get a headache. How in the hell can you have a group of people that are supporting you, liberal or right wing, I don't, whatever you want to say, conservative, they're supporting you, but the money that they use to support you isn't counted as like an election cash. It's like advertising. These people are buying you advertising. And now we found out they're buying hotel rooms and limos and spa days because we want our candidate to look refreshed, and we're bringing the wives in because the wives need to be refreshed so the candidate is refreshed and doesn't have a lot of problems at home. I'd be surprised. Maybe they're paying their mortgage rate because they're not working, right? They don't have an income now, so who's paying their bills? Man, just thought of one. Go down a rabbit hole on that. How do they survive? How do candidates survive in 2024? Oh my goodness. How do candidates survive in 2024 if they're not working and not drawing a paycheck? Well, just found my midnight rabbit hole.
All right. Well, this is a good time to bring up some of the like and subscribe. Don't forget to support some of our favorite initiatives, St. Jude
Oh, I
Children's
usually go.
Hospital.
All right, we're 15 minutes in. We'll do a commercial. A commercial break.
Aortic
Like,
Hope.
subscribe, share, comment, hit the bell button
Yeah.
for Tom Wetner, the conversationalist. Now, dun 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 dun. Pretty soon that will be somebody else doing that. Let's talk about St. Jude.
Okay.
St. Jude just announced a big, huge project for children with diabetes. And did you know that mumps and rubella are coming back because people aren't getting vaccinated? So they're doing some research on easier ways to inoculate people. That's St. Jude. They don't. There's no grass growing underneath these people's feet. Every dime that goes in, they're one of those charities. They take like 3% for administration, but only to get rid of the other 97%. Everybody else is paid by funding from corporations and endowments and associations and things like that. So once again, St. Jude's in the forefront of childhood health. Isn't that wonderful? We have that in this country. There's another one called the Bora Heart and Lung in New Jersey, out by Fort Dix. They do the same thing, but they do it for adults. You got the Shriners. But St. Jude's been there at the forefront. They do good work and they don't waste your money. So see if you can give them a little Christmas present early. Aortic Hope. What a gang. That's all it's like a bunch of people who said, we're not getting service, we're not getting treated right, we're not getting all the information we need to survive. Let's get together and pool our resources and our experiences, and we'll figure this out. And then once we got it figured out, we're going to just go ahead and blast it out there into the internet, the webosphere, the Elon Musk satellites. Right? I mean, that's all they are. They're just people who came together and said, we need to be treated better. We deserve to be treated better. So who's going to treat us the best? It's us, the people who have survived it. Yeah, sure. It's only like, I think the rate of survival now for aortic disease is like 18%. Shit, when I was 12 years ago, almost 13 years ago, it was like 2 or 3%. So see the gains? I mean, sure, I'd like to be around 90%, but I will get there one time. We first got to deal with this wait and watch. If you have an aneurysm, a dissection happening, who cares whether it's 4 or 7? Fix the damn thing. Why are we waiting to see if this person collapses and then gets rushed in the emergency room and has to have, God forbid, an operation in an emergency situation where they've lost blood and their body's shutting down? Why are we doing that? Anyway, that's another subject. But Aortic Hope, you guys got to support these guys. I'm telling you, if there's one group that does a lot with so little, it's them. And I would like to see every disease have a group like Aortic Hope. Why? Everybody needs support. It's important, and you have to be supported by the people that know it, your peers. I didn't understand that for a good 10 years, 9 years, 10 years. That I thought I was an island onto my own. I was going to do it. I was going to come back. I was going to be successful, blah, blah, blah. The standard old guy thing, right? It was like 3 years ago when I finally decided, yeah, I'm never going to be a chef again. I'm not going to run kitchens. I'm not going to be that guy who walks in the place at 8 o'clock in the morning, walks out at midnight or 1 o'clock. It's just not in me. Probably wouldn't be in me anyway because I'm 73, but you understand, right? It was real catastrophic and real sudden for me. I didn't get the transition out like a lot of my friends. It wasn't until I found aortic hope that I started mentally transitioning. Why? Because I saw other people who were successful in their transition. Oh my God. When I met this group, I couldn't believe there were people who were talking my story, literally speaking my words, yet they had other aspects of their life. They weren't totally focused on their disease and getting back on the right track. So I'm being a little, what was that word that we used? What is it? It
When you're
starts with,
bloviating?
yeah, I'm bloviating again. Boy, the memes are coming in. They're really cute. I'm bloviating again about aortic hope, as old men do, as I was told. But it's a good organization, so support 'em. I really think that you'll feel good and you'll help somebody else out. How's that? Right? Act of kindness. Act of kindness makes you feel good and helps somebody out. Even if it's a small thing like putting a quarter in for a cart at Aldi's or helping somebody load their groceries, or you don't have to spend a lot of money to do an act of kindness. Open the door. Now listen to me. As an old person that uses canes, I appreciate you opening the door for me, but hold the damn thing. If you let it go and I'm halfway through the door, those heavy doors practically take me out. Okay? If I don't get the cane wedged in right, I'm going for a little 3 foot ride. And I usually wind up on my face. So if you're gonna hold the door for me, if you're gonna open the door, hold it. Uh, but that's another story about handicapped people and how we turn into bricks and mortar and wood and things. Nobody sees us. Let's get back to American society as a whole and voting and understanding where we're going. Because the most important thing is that when we come out the other end, that we are talking to one another, we're trying to figure out why this person got elected and make the best of it, not the worst of it. We don't want to be burning down our neighborhoods and our local stores and looting them out of some mysterious act of retribution. And on the other hand, we don't want militias running around the country putting martial law into, remember Seattle, 6 blocks, no police, do legalize that all the drugs in the world. We don't want that either, right? It didn't work there. It's not going to work anywhere else. So calmer heads have to prevail after this election. People with reasonable understanding that this too shall pass. This too is survivable. This too is a part of the system. So if you vote, if you don't vote, I don't want to hear from you. I have no time for you. If you don't exercise your God-given right as an American to vote, then you don't have a dog in a fight. You might as well go sit over there and suck on an ice cream cone because I have no time for you. But if you vote and you vote for somebody, that's your dog. And you make sure, I wish we had a rule. If you vote for somebody that said they're going to do this and in 90 days they don't at least attempt to do it, we vote them out. We get a do-over. You like that? In 90, it's like a 90-day warranty. You've got these people that promise the moon and the sun and the sky and a chicken in every pot and a cup of coffee every morning. And they get in there and the only thing they do is pad their own pockets or they vote along party lines. It's got nothing to do with what they campaigned on. So that 90-day rule sounds pretty good to me. Now, that's not an original idea. I got to give that to Benny. He was at Dunkin' Donuts on Sunday, and he's the one that expressed that 90-day do-over rule. And I really liked it. And I told him I was stealing it from him, so he shouldn't be surprised. but he'll act all or try to get a free cup of coffee. Anyway, let's get back to it. What are you going to do on Wednesday? What are you going to do for the next 90 days? What are you going to do the day after whoever it is walks across that stage and says, the Supreme Court Justice says, put your hand on the Bible. And when he's sworn in or she's sworn in, what are you going to do? Where's your head at? Are you going to be an American and support that person even though you didn't vote for him? Are you going to be that American who decides that whomever gets in, you're going to make the best of it and you're going to try to make the country better? Or are you going to be that asshole who gets so pissed off that the only thing he wants to do is destroy, destroy, destroy? Now, that only gives you a second problem. You understand that? You already got the person and you didn't want to vote for, and now you got a second problem, all these out of control people. That's a little scary to a old guy like me because I can't move so fast. I see it in just the local reporters. Around here, the local reporters don't go to any of the campaign things. We never get on the spot newscasts anymore. It hasn't happened since the summer. They stay in the studio, send the cameraman out to take some glamour shots, and then they voice over it. So they know something we don't know. They're not going out to these rallies and these places where people are congregating. It's a question I'm asking. I don't know. I don't want to be inciting people, but why are they hanging back? And it's not just the local reporters. Even if you watch any of the broadcast news at 6 o'clock or 6:30, NBC, ABC, CNN, Fox, all those guys, everything is voiceover. Everything's just, that time when they would stand in the auditorium and give these dissertations are over. If they do have somebody in, it's a junior reporter that nobody's ever seen before, probably from a local station who thinks they're getting the opportunity of a lifetime to be on national news. But you never see these mainstream anchors out there. And this year, they're not going to have booths in these rally halls where Trump and Harris are going to be. They're going to do it remotely from their studios. Does that tell you something? I don't know. Seems like a big change to me. Usually they're out there glad handing and wanting to be right next to with the microphone shoved in the candidate's face. That's not happened. Have you noticed that? And it's gotten worse since Trump got shot in the ear. I guess nobody else wants to be around to take a ricochet. Once again, we're at the halfway point here, and all I'm seeing from at least the last 4 emails that I'm looking at right now, people saying I worry too much. That America has lasted this long and it's going to last another 250, 60, 70 years. Okay. From your lips to God's ear. But, like the guys on the Titanic said, we didn't plan very well for the alternatives. We did not plan very well for the alternatives. The Titanic was unsinkable. Why do we need all these lifeboats? Get rid of them. People can see better. Why do we need all these life jackets? They're stuffed under everything. Get rid of them. That's just piss poor planning as far as I'm concerned. And with the way the country is split, at least publicly, way the reaction of people who are staunch supporters of Harris and staunch reporters of Trump are acting and talking and putting their money in these PACs. I think it's absolutely necessary that we not only question, but we try to come up with a plan, some type course of action so we don't lose our republic. Yes, I said our republic, not our democracy, but our republic. We pledge allegiance to the Republic of the United States. How many times I got to tell you that? You people that are emailing me, and I said you people because you're pissing me off because you refer to this as a democracy, and it's not. It is not. It's a republic. Even the smallest state is represented. Even the words of the people in the most minority gets heard. If it was a democracy, you wouldn't hear these people. You understand that? The framers of the Constitution, they were from 18 years old to 26 years old. These are young people, right? Like you guys. They wrote a Constitution. Do you understand? These were not, they were, sure, there were some old men in there that were 35. Jeez, you know? And they wrote this document that has stood the test of time. And now, some 25 or 30-year-old is saying, well, we don't need it anymore. We need to modernize the document. Who's going to do that? Who are we going to appoint that's going to be fair and equal to the job? There's nobody. If you wanted to appoint me, I'd back out because I say it couldn't be fair and equal. Sorry. Just too set in my ways. I want to get off the election. I'm tired of talking about it. But I will say, vote, vote, vote. If you have a dog in the fight, then you have a reason. You can bitch and moan all you want. And if they don't do what you say, vote them out. That's your superpower. Like, subscribe, comment, share, hit the button for the bell. Support me a little bit here, guys. I feel like I'm in the wilderness yelling at the trees. So just give me a comment, even if it's a bad comment. I like those. The next thing I want to go in on is anybody noticing that supplies in the grocery stores are diminishing? We had 3 gas stations within 4 miles that have run out of regular gasoline. Upper Front Street, within 3 miles. Each gas station ran out of regular gas. I think it was 2 days ago. They got gas in by that afternoon, but still a little suspicious, right? And we went to Dunkin' Donuts this morning on the way to Albany for my my doctor's visit, and there was one person working in Dunkin' Donuts. They only had one. The girl was making the food, bringing it out, and delivering it. One person. I thought that was illegal. I thought OSHA said in a dangerous environment where there's hot and sharp stuff, you got to have more than one person. How is that possible? Then we stopped at my wife's second favorite place, Taco Bell, on the way home, or as I call it, taco mystery food. And again, there was only like 3 people in the whole place, working. One on the counter and 2 people in the back. How is that possible? Especially when you're paying them $20 an hour and you're only paying people on Social Security $12 an hour, $12.60. That's my little dig. Okay. So what I'm just saying here is we're past the election. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I'm sick of it. But let's get on with life. Okay. So this winter is supposed to be drier than normal up here in the East Coast and colder. Drier and colder, which means we're not going to we'll get probably the average snowfall, probably about 5 feet of snow, but we're going to get more ice than snow because when you're in that situation with La Nina, I love that. They're blaming the Spanish. We get a lot of ice, and ice obviously tears down electrical wires and make the road slippery and all that stuff. So I packed in extra firewood. I had the kids splitting firewood over the weekend, and everybody's going to be up in arms. You let children use a wood splitter. Yeah, they got to learn how to use that. They got to learn how to use an electric chainsaw, not a big gas one, but a little small electric one. No, we don't let the 8-year-olds use it. The 15-year-olds use that, and the 8-year-olds hump the wood from one place to another. So yeah, we do take cautionary things. We're not running an evil poor man's house where kids are put in and little kids come at the end of the night with an empty bowl and go, more porridge, what is it? Porridge, sir. No, we don't do that. We give them biscuits and gravy.
He goes, "Please, sir, can I have
Please,
some
sir.
more?"
Yeah, that's the show. It's a good book too. Anyway, what I'm saying to you is we're taking precautions. We put our usual canned goods up. Gave half of them away because I don't have any room left on the shelves. So we just gave them away. We filled baskets and dropped them off to people like an early Christmas present. I'm baking breads. Diane and Craig were over. They were helping me with some of the problems with the mounting of the stove plate in my summer kitchen. It seems to be out of kilter. It's not leveling the way I like it. And I put heavy pots of water and heavy pots of sauce and stews and things. And so it has to be very strong to hold that weight. And I'm just not satisfied with the way it's supported. So Craig was over and helping me with that. And he's a real good guy and doesn't mind putting in the hours as long as Erin feeds him. She made salmon and fried cod and no, fried haddock and her famous 5 cheese macaroni and cheese. So Craig was real happy, and she gave him something to take home, so he was even happier about that. I heard he ate it like 1 o'clock in the morning. All right, so that's what we're doing. We're not overstocking, but we're not on the minimums. We're getting extra firewood on the property. We can take our firewood from off the hill and let it rest for 3 years, and then we bring it down, we cut it up and split it, and then rest for another 2 years and in piles, and then we move it to a location that's close enough to the house that we can bring it in the house as we need it and not have to go out in the field, obviously. But I've double stacked it this year just because at my age, I don't want to be cold. And I imagine there's a lot of you out there. As a child, you know, I remember putting my hand in the water as I was fishing, and when I pulled my hand out, my hand was so hot it would be steaming coming off there. Now, if I do that, I lose all feelings in the tips of my fingers. If I walk out without my gloves on, my thermal, with the ones with the button that heats them up, and my thermal socks, I'm cold. So I imagine most people are like me. They're worrying about staying warm this year because who knows what's going to happen with the gas and electrical grid, because we never finished the Keystone pipeline. So we don't have what the Democrats, Obama and Clinton, said that we needed these pipelines for the future because the country was going to grow and have more people and more housing. So we needed these pipelines. Then you got Joe comes in and just cancels everything. So we got 500 miles of pipeline going nowhere. We have an electrical grid that we were supposed to be upgrading since the Johnson administration, and we still haven't done it. We've built onto the grid, but we haven't gone back. I mean, look at it from the standpoint of a person who has actually worked with their hands. We have an electrical grid now all the way in the middle and to the newest projects are miracles of mankind. They're amazing. Trouble is, where we produce the electricity and the gas, and where we have the initial transmission of this stuff, the pipelines and the transformer units and things like that, were built in the 50s. So we're building all this new infrastructure on this failing 1950s technology. We're not going back and retrofitting. It's a little scary. It's like taking a car from the 1950s, pulling the body off it, and putting a modern body on it with modern lights and all that stuff. But you're still running around on a 1950s frame and wheels and suspension and an engine and all that other stuff. Just the body is different. The way the transmission lines are better and the substations are better. So that worries me. I kind of figure we're due for something catastrophic. And I hope it doesn't happen in the winter. I hope it happens in the middle of summer in a 90-degree day across the country. That way everybody will survive. And you can survive without air conditioning. Believe me, I did for many years. I don't think my dad broke down and got an air conditioner until my mother threatened him in the 70s.
I have a client in Spain who still lives without air conditioning today. They don't believe in air
Well,
conditioners.
in Spain, you have like Portugal and Spain, they have what's called oceanic breezes. And around 4 o'clock, they whip up and they'll blow through and they cool everything down. And it's great for sleeping weather. Same thing in Italy. If you're on the Amalfi Coast or Belisado or one of those, at 4 o'clock, women come out with their shawls and men come out with their suit jackets on because you get that breeze, that comforting, soft breeze, and it's cooler. Where here in the United States, we're so large. Now, I hate to give you a geography lesson, but if you're talking about France or Italy or England, it fit in a corner of America. When I'm talking about America, I'm talking about massive coastlines, massive amount of land area. Mexico attached on the bottom, Canada. So that just adds to the mass. You get a 110-degree day, half the continent. That's got to do something. Heat up the ground, and of course winds go west to east, so primarily, so that all that hot air comes over to the East Coast, right? Sometimes we like it, and most of the time we would like to do without it because our electric bill goes up because of air conditioners are on. And everybody that comes in my house has a setting that they're particularly interested in. So it's just an Americanized way of looking at things, that we are this arbitrary society that everybody has a say, right? We all have a say, even on the thermostat. And when you have as many grandchildren as I do, equally split between guys and girls, that thing can play like a roller coaster. But that's another story. So I see we're at the last 15 minutes, so I'm going to do a little commercial. Like, subscribe, comment, share, hit the bell button. Go see our friends at St. Jude and Aortic Hope. Do something good, an act of kindness. You'll feel good about it and you'll help somebody else out. So the last 15 minutes, I told a good friend of mine that I would talk about a subject that's a little bit touchy, but it needs to be talked about. In this country, we've gone from terrible, terrible atrocities to minorities. I mean, let's face it, you would think after the Civil War, things would have got better. They actually got worse for any minority. And I'm not just talking about blacks. If you were in a minority, say from the end of the Civil War, which was 1865. See that? Most of you don't know when the Civil War ended, but all the way up to, I would say, mid 1860s. That's a long period of time, right? That's 100 years. Treatment of minorities has ebbed and flowed. You know, when we needed them to vote a certain ways, we took care of them. When we didn't, we ignored them, which is worse than being mean. To be ignored is worse than being mean to somebody. You know why? Because then you've taken all their recourse from them. At least if you're mad at them, you're screaming at each other and you're getting it out there. But if you're ignored, that's even worse. But, and here it comes. I hope you got your seatbelt on. I hope you got your crayon on the wall so you can write down your comments and then send them to me. We are overdoing this issue of black, white, minorities. Why? Because it is advantageous to the people who are in control to keep us interacting with each other in a way that is not productive. Not that it's hostile, not that it's murderous, not that it's anything but to keep us busy and be unproductive. And when I say unproductive, I'm talking about putting wheels on a car. I'm talking about being productive, about organizing and running our country. Organizing and running our country. We're so busy with the pettiness of being humans that we forgot that we're all the same and we're all in the same boat and we're all in the same circumstances. Some are richer, some are poor. Some are smarter, some are not as smart. I was going to say dumb, but I guess that's not the way to say it. Some people have that ability to reason and recognize the solution to problems, and other people only know confrontation. And that's because our society has done that to us. They've taught a certain segment of our society that you're oppressed and you need to be on top of it by being that terroristic mentality. I mean, we've seen it over the last 2 years. We've actually stopped arresting people for shoplifting. So what did they do? They went from stealing bubble gum and cigarettes, and now they clean out whole stores. Literally, not only take the merchandise, but take the racks. And then you see the racks on the street full of their merchandise, you know, maybe 100 feet down from the store they just looted. And he's selling the stuff he looted. And we don't do anything about it. And it's not just New York. I'm not talking about just New York. It's happening everywhere. California, Texas, everywhere. Florida, Louisiana. You can find stories like this in any one of the major cities or states. It's a little bit scary to me because I don't know where it came from, who thought it up, who progressed it, and now nobody wants to take responsibility to contain it. And even Kamala Harris said 2 years ago, she said it's the minorities taking what they need. They showed the clip of her saying, getting their rightful due. Rightful due. I mean, this person worked hard to get a business, and your rightful due is to go in and steal everything that they worked so hard to have. I don't get that. But that's the present mentality. It's not a white or black thing. It's a people thing. When people stop looking at color just because it's the easiest thing to point out, that it's the easiest thing to identify, when you start dealing with each other as a human being, that means treating them as you would want to be treated. It's so important that we get back to that golden rule in America, because it is what sustains us in times of trouble and tribulation, and keeps us focused on the good of everybody. Because if we don't have everybody rising, like all boats rise with the tide, if not everybody understands this premise that we all can get a piece of the pie, there's enough pie to go around, believe me, then nobody benefits because you're always going to have a group feeling left behind and not adequately treated. So do it simply. Just as you want to be treated, treat other people. You know, don't react to somebody's color, react to their character, react to what they're doing, not what they're saying, what their actions are. People can say anything they want, but their actions will tell you really who they are. That's my 5-minute speech on current race relationships. And I'm a real good one to talk about because I'm 73 years old, a white guy who buried his head in the kitchen for 40 years and dealt with all sorts of people. And most of the time it was out of fear and terror, but it made the kitchen work. And we all made money. And that was a good thing. We all made money. It didn't matter whether you were black or white or Spanish or Polish. You just made money. That's what we were all there for. Give good food and made money. And we were happy. I don't think people are really happy in America anymore. And if they are, they're happy about things that are not really transferable into major issues in our lives. They're happy for their new car or their new cable system or their new TV or their new whatever, the new bar that opened up or the new whatever. But as happy as people, satisfied with our lives, satisfied with our situation, I think we need to work on that. And the only way we can work on that is if we work as a group, as one entity, not as segmented groups. We have to all get on at least one single page that says, if you're going to do it for the best of all people, not for the best for just these people or those people. Make it universal. Make that one thing that you came up with to make a better world here in America. We can't do anything bad outside America. But in America, we can at least not have a utopian society, but one that works, where everybody feels included, where everybody decides that extra $10 isn't worth me browbeating this person behind. Where we climb the ladder of success and we turn around rather than just keep looking up and we grab the hand of the person behind us and pull them up. I know it's a metaphor. I know it's something that you've heard, but it really works. If you made a success for whatever reason in your life, help the next person. Don't pile on like Nancy Pelosi, where it's a game of just how much money her and her husband can accumulate. It's like a game to them. There's nobody that can accumulate that much wealth for the satisfaction of accumulating. Just it's like a monopoly game. You know, how many houses can you buy? How many park places are there? You know, when is enough enough? You know, when is the change click in your head and you say, oh, well, I got more money than I'll ever spend. Maybe I need to show people how to make money. And maybe I should stop insider trading. Isn't that wonderful? Wouldn't you think wouldn't that be great? They got a guy on in the Senate hearings right now. I forget what agent. He's a 3-letter agency guy. And he told them that he doesn't have any of this portfolio. And then they brought it up. And then they show where he's got all this hidden portfolio under his wife's and kids' names. And he just sat there like, I think you wanted to crawl underneath the table. I wish I wrote it down so I had more specifics, but I'll do it another time. All right, guys, we got 5 minutes left and I'm like out of it. I'm done. I want to make sure that you know that I love each and every one of you. I think that you're special and all God's blessings for you.
Well,
I
before
want you
you
to.
close out, can I
I'm not
ask?
closing out. I just
Okay.
want to give you a little speech.
Okay.
Know how important you are to me. I'm 73 years old. I come from a whole different world than most people. I am like that. They're tearing down the building and they find that time capsule in the corner of the building that nobody knew about. That's me. You know, I'm that time capsule. I got all this knowledge and all this ability to, I don't have Alzheimer's yet, so I can still pull up a lot of things. And even the people that do have Alzheimer's are better at it than I am sometimes. Isn't that terrible? I have holes. It's funny, but sometimes it's not funny. But that's another story, right? How to deal with memory loss when you're old. Write it down. Get a crayon on a wall. That's what I do. All right. Well, Josh has got things to say, but
Well, I wanted
I
to
want you to
ask if you had an opportunity to chat with your daughter.
no, no,
Okay.
no.
Just wondering. Okay.
I'm still, I'm, I have a plan. Of course, she gets off work at 4:30. Erin gets off work at 3:30. So I'm taking Erin's car to get it serviced, oil change, that kind of stuff, lubes. Then I'm going to pick up Erin and then I'm going to pick up Brianna and we're going to go to the polling place because she still uses our address. Even though she bought a house, she hasn't switched over. So we all vote at the same place. So we're all going to go and vote.
That's a good plan. I like this plan. I support this plan.
Yeah, well, I think I'm going to hire Jamie and Torres as bodyguards because I don't want my daughter to beat me up in the middle of the polling place.
Right on.
Any more questions?
Well, how did your Halloween go? We skipped past that in our Friday
We got a lot
broadcast.
of people. It
Yeah.
was amazing how many people we had coming. We had the axemen out there. We had the witches and the ghosts flying around the trees in front of the house. And I built this mechanical axeman. He's all made out of wood and he's got a wooden axe. And uh, we put a pumpkin out, with a Halloween face and a light in it, and just all night long. He has a little reciprocating motor that makes the axe moves. The kids like that. They enjoy that. So that's why I put that one out this year. We didn't last year we did the scarecrows and that kind of went over like a Barton church. So this year we did the Axeman again. That's how Halloween went. Now we have enough candy and packages of pretzels and potato chips and Fritos to last for the next 6 months.
So much poison in the house.
Right. And I got all these, bacterial infected grandchildren running around with their little nubby fingers with their dirt underneath their fingernails, reaching into all these buckets of candy. So I try to stay away from them just from a health point of view. I noticed that pouring alcohol, 70 proof alcohol on candy doesn't work. Oh well. Next time we'll try something different. Maybe a little Lysol. See how that works with the candy. All right. Now we're getting ready for Thanksgiving. Ugh. I was in Home Depot this weekend and the Christmas decorations, astronomical, unbelievable. They must have had 30 decorated Christmas trees. When you walked in the main door on the right, where they had all the Halloween stuff and the stuff for the gardening, fall gardening, that's all been cleared out. There's nothing but a sea of trees and snowmen and reindeers and sleighs, all those outside decorations. 30 trees, all decorated beautifully. Uh, the only thing I haven't seen any trees yet. They're real trees, green ones. So I guess that's still too early. They'll dry out before you get them home. But I imagine they're coming soon. Imagine they're cut and stacked on a truck somewhere, and they're watering them every day so that wetting them down so they stay fresh. But I can't imagine that they Haven't started cutting them yet because Merck used a lot of Christmas trees. All right, guys. Tom the Weather, the conversationalist, along with Joshua, the producer, the Wizard of Oz. No one gets in to see the wizard. Nobody goes behind the counter, the curtain. Absolutely nobody gets in to see the wizard. Like, subscribe, comment, share, hit the bell button. Do something nice for somebody. It'll make you feel good and it'll help them. Be careful when you vote tomorrow. Get there early so they can't say they ran out of ballots. And for the next 90 days, stay on your toes. I hope nothing happens. But if something does happen, you'll be prepared because you listen to your buddy Tom the Conversationalist. All right? Take care. We'll see you. Today's Monday, so I guess we'll see you on Wednesday. God bless. Oh, by the way, Friday I won't be here. I'm going to do something on Wednesday, and Josh is just going to put it up because it looks like I'll be going into. I just saw an email from Jefferson Hospital. I'm going to have to go down on Friday, and they're going to see me on Saturday morning. So Friday night we'll have to do a recording. I didn't even tell Josh that because I just got the email. All right, guys. Love you all. Ladies, enjoy yourself. God bless. We're out.